Hey everybody, today I'm going to try to do a little cleanup in this sunken garden. I didn't think I'd actually get to it, but it's been driving me crazy. It's just so overgrown, and I know that anything I do down here on this trip is going to make it easier in the future. So I'm not going to be able to do many improvements, but I can at least get this stuff kind of cleaned up and kind of get a refresher of what's actually down here, because right now it's just so overgrown and so messy. I really want to be able to do something with it. We had quite a bit of rain yesterday, so I only got a little cleanup done in the back, and it's a little rainy now, but I think this is going to pass, so I'll kind of work through it. Hopefully it won't get too bad. And I'm just going to get started probably over on the stairs and work my way back. So I've been working down here all day, and I have to say I'm very happy with the results. It's so nice to see this area kind of looking more the way it's intended to look. I can see the stones, I can see the gravel, everything just, it looks so much nicer. But while I'm spending my time doing this, I just keep thinking I need to get a more permanent plan for this area. I can't keep putting myself through this. Now, the last time that I had gone through and cleaned this out was February of 2022. So it's been a year and 8 or 9 months, and so that's way too long to go. And there's too much stuff going in. It's starting to break through the plastic as well. We didn't use landscape fabric. I wish we did. That probably would hold up a little bit better. But even still, I need to figure out what we're going to do, and that might mean putting down landscape fabric, or maybe that means putting maybe flagstones or some kind of nice kind of finish down here that stuff can't grow through. I'm not really sure quite yet, but the other thing that I need to do is really think about what plants I'm going to use. So I'm going to just point out a couple examples of what I mean by that. So plants like this ivy, once they're established, they do a pretty good job of suppressing the grass, and that makes it kind of nice because then the grass tends to be more vigorous. The ivy, meanwhile, is a lot easier for me to trim. I can just go through and trim that basically at any height, and I can either leave it so I can see the stone, or I can let it trail, and it's easy for me to be able to control it and maintain it that way. And same thing with the crocosmia or crocomycia, however you like to say it. The only thing with that is that the grasses that grow behind tend to cause it to lean forward like this. So if I was around more often, or like when I'm here in the summer, I'm able to keep that back area clear and the plants grow more upright. But when I'm not here, they tend to just kind of get pushed forward by the grasses, but they're vigorous enough that they can kind of keep up. Same thing with a lot of shrubs. Shrubs, once they're established, can kind of outdo the grasses. The only thing is that sometimes they need some attention when they first start out. They need stuff kind of cleaned away. And I'm going to show you an example of what I mean over here. And maybe this isn't the best example. This is some spirea, and I don't want to plant any more spirea here, partly because at least this variety, I'm getting spots on the leaves, but more importantly, when the grass grows through it, it leaves a lot of bare spots because it's not getting the light, and I think there's also a lot of moisture in there, and that might be what's causing some of this discoloration. It just doesn't look very good, and it has a hard time keeping up with the grass. Same thing with this dogwood that I had planted, and this was a lot bigger, but it was really covered with all the grass, and so the kind of old growth kind of got almost like moldy because the grass was just kind of holding in that moisture, keeping the light out. Fortunately, it's a really durable plant and it's got a lot of new growth, so I think it's going to be fine, but it's definitely setting it back quite a bit. If I go down here, I'll just walk over. A lot of times what happens with some of my plants are things like with this black lace elderberry, which is one that we have in Michigan as well. What happens is all the action kind of happens on the top. The bottom, it's kept in the dark, it's kept with all this moisture, and so I don't always see a lot of leaves down there. If I was around to keep it cleared out though, I think this plant would look fantastic. Now the good thing about this one is I know that if I needed to, I could trim it way back and it would, you know, resprout and I could get another chance. This is another plant that I put in, I don't know, a couple years ago. I don't remember what it is. Some reason I keep thinking maybe it's a willow of some kind, but it's doing okay. So hats off to that. Glad to see that's doing. I kind of discovered a couple things in here. So this is my rainbow ascot euphorbia. It can overtake the grass, or it keeps up with the grass, but it really gets misshapen because of it, because the grass kind of comes through and it, you know, it kind of knocks it down. And I gotta also be careful with my cuttings here, so I'll have to clean this up. I am gonna go through, I've got a lot of cleanup to do, but I'm a little tired right now. So this one is a great plant here, but the grass does tend to end up making it a little misshapen. When I come down over here, oh, I did have like a honeysuckle in here. That's doing pretty good. And the only reason why I planted the honeysuckle over here, and there was another one over here, is because when I was in Connemara, there was this hedgerow that had honeysuckle growing in it and it was absolutely beautiful. So I absolutely loved it. But another problem that I have is in this area here, there are 3 macrophylla hydrangeas, and they look like they actually were doing pretty well, but we have a problem. We're getting moldy leaves. This isn't normal kind of, this isn't how the late leaves normally go. And that's because there was even more grass in here I started taking out, but I wanted to show you how bad this is. I mean, this is definitely gonna rot my hydrangea. It looks like it's still alive. And the one thing I will say about macrophylla hydrangeas, they're not easy to kill. That said, they're not always easy to make them flower and whatnot. But so I'm gonna need to clean these out and let them get their air. And this summer was particularly rough on the plants because July and August were particularly wet this year. Usually that's the kind of drier season, things do okay. But I mean, these leaves are looking horrible. So I'm thinking that if I get it kind of cleaned up, it's gonna look better. But oh, I'm so sad to see that because I had these over by the driveway before and I moved them here and they're doing way better here. That was just too windy over there. So I cleaned up around these hydrangeas and they are in rough shape. As I was pulling the grass away, the grass really had like a really rotten smell to it. So that could be easily what's causing this problem. It could be something else too. And you know, there's a little bit of slug damage, but that can be expected. So I don't think that's an issue. But you know, they really took a hit. So hopefully they're going to be able to come back. I mean, I see where there's going to be new growth, and that could be where there might be, you know, flowers next year. But my goal is just to get them to stay alive and come back next spring, and then we'll go from there. So right now, hey, I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you. Macrophylla hydrangeas do very well here in Ireland. Whereas back home we can rely on our paniculata and our arborescens. Macrophylla is not so much in northern Michigan. They can be a little bit tricky. Here, people don't do anything with them and they do great, but you got to get them established. So hopefully we're there. But this is definitely a setback. So I'm not going to dwell on these hydrangeas. I'm going to think about all the other stuff that I got done today. So you can see I've gotten quite a transformation. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with those railroad ties. I've got the little buckets and things. So there's a lot of cleanup still to do, but hey, I got quite a bit done today and I'm pretty happy with how it all went. So at least it looks normal, but I do need to start thinking about what I'm going to do with this area and how I'm going to really get it kind of in really good shape so that it's not so much work.